It's Wednesday, December 25th. Merry Christmas, everybody. Here's a quick Christmas weather update. I'm glad we're deciding to update you on this Christmas day because if you have travel plans this weekend, the weather forecast is starting to look a little more messy than it did yesterday. If you've been listening, you know that we've been talking about a huge disparity between the different computer models that we look at with the forecast as it relates to what will happen this upcoming weekend. As we've mentioned before, we use a good 5 or 6 different models that come from a variety of sources, which all represent the weather a little bit differently. And for the last really 2 weeks, there's been a disagreement between the weather models coming out of Europe, out of Canada, out of the United States, out of Japan. We take a look at a lot of different ones, and some do better than others in certain situations. In the situation that we're facing this weekend, there's been a real problem trying to get a handle on the weather forecast because it is a rather complex situation developing. We have the merger or the forecasted merger of 2 storms over Colorado and Nebraska and Wyoming late Friday night and during the day Saturday and lingering in the Sunday. Some models want to merge a storm coming out of northwest Canada with a storm that's coming out of Southern California and coalesce that into one bigger organized storm, which could be quite strong as we get into late Friday night through Sunday. If that storm comes together as forecasted by the Canadian and the European model, well, we're going to have some travel impacts this weekend, folks. What looked like maybe a dry forecast for western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming and northeast Colorado could now be a snowy, windy, and colder one. The American modeling suggests that the storms will not merge, but rather become 2 separate entities, with one piece of that storm, the California storm, quickly accelerating into the Midwest and the Great Lakes before merging with that Canadian storm system. So either the storm will merge over Colorado or it will merge further east into eastern Nebraska and Kansas. Those are the 2 scenarios we're looking at. Both solutions, and this is where it gets very difficult for the weather forecaster, both solutions actually make sense. However, you have to defer with track record, and you have to defer to what usually are the better model suites in terms of wintertime performance, and that would go to the Canadian and the European modeling. So what we're looking at, folks, is an enhanced chance of some snowfall late Friday night and Saturday with wind and much colder temperatures as we get into western Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, and maybe southeastern areas of Wyoming. There may be some holiday travel impacts in western Nebraska, parts of Wyoming, and Colorado and Kansas with this weekend storm. Now, it's only Wednesday. We've got Thursday really to get this figured out. So if you're listening to this podcast, listen to Thursday and Friday morning's podcast to see which solution comes together. We've been worried about this weekend's weather forecast because of this big disparity in the computer modeling and the fact that all the right pieces are in place for a high plains winter storm to come together this weekend that could impact holiday travel. Does it look like a monster of a storm? It doesn't. But it looks like enough of a system, especially with a lot of forecasts for this weekend that are still forecasting it to be dry. Well, it could be impactful. Now, short term, it is a white Christmas for some of you. Snow fell overnight across portions of south central, and southwestern Wyoming, as well as western and northwest Colorado. It is looking a little more favorable that maybe 1 or 2 more locations may end up with a white Christmas than we thought yesterday, as we'll see some snow showers get across the divide into eastern Wyoming and western Nebraska later today and tonight. So it looks like maybe Cheyenne and Wheatland and Torrington, even Scotts Bluff and Douglas will have a chance for seeing at least some snow showers before this Christmas day and this Christmas night is over. The heavier snow continues to be in south central, southwest, and central Wyoming. Could see an inch or 2 along I-90 in northeastern Wyoming. And the mountains of central and northwest and north central Colorado will see several inches of new snow as well. So if you want to ski this Christmas weekend, you are going to have some fresh snow on the ski slopes in Wyoming and Colorado. Have a very Merry Christmas if you are traveling this Christmas day into tonight and tomorrow morning, especially across portions of Wyoming and the mountains of Colorado. Allow some extra time, just enough snow to be a nuisance. We'll update you on Thursday. Have yourself a great Christmas.